We're on page Samaches, Yeshivas Nefesh, with the Perish Meshiv Nafshi. We're in the middle of the page where it says Be'emes Sheshar Darche His Chaskus B'Zeh. The middle of the page.
What page are you going to
Samech Ches. Samech Ches. Is going on a tiny little sentence from Likutei Moharan Reish Chav Beis. We learned, where Rabbi Nachman begins with a theme that's very, very, very prominent in all of his Torahs, which is Simcha. But it's very hard for a person to feel Simcha not only in the month of Adar, but any time of the year, when there was what Rabbi Nachman calls a zvichas or, there was a light that was experienced, a certain closeness, a kirvus elokim, a feeling of excitement about one's Yiddishkeit and so on, one's Torah mitzvahs. And then it dissipates, it's gone, it's not there. And we've been talking a lot about that from the beginning of the Sefer. This is what Yeshivas Nefesh is about. It's really the main subject of Yeshivas Nefesh. And it's the nature of a person who goes through that to have a Nefilas Adas, a Chalishas Adas. What happened to my cheshik to learn? What happened to my Kirvas Hashem? What happened to all of that? And Rabbi Nachman, in this Torah here, with this commentary from Meshiv Nafshi, is teaching us how Davka, that Zvichas Or that you experienced in the past, that Lichtigkeit, that openness, that clarity, that feeling that you had in the past, needs to be used as a tool of how to move forward in the future, not as something to mourn the loss of, which is the most common thing. Gewalt, what happened to me, and to mourn what I once had and is no longer here. But rather to use it as a kli for Kirvas Elokim, for a new. It could be different. A new Kirvas Elokim. That's what we're talking about in this Torah. Explaining how, and there's a mashal that we're going to talk about. Rabbi Nachman gave a mashal that we saw inside in Likutei Moharan. We're going to see a little bit more about it in a few minutes. So the middle of the page on Samach Ches, where it says, "V'emes sheshar darchei is chaskus b'zeh mavur kvar b'kam makamis, asher tzadik ma'asev kol ha'ascholas, kol and the kudas toivus u'badim hem binyanim b'tzirufim neflaim." We're now Baruch Hashem in the parashiyos of the Mishkan, and these are hard parashiyos. It's hard for us to relate to the Mishkan, and everybody misses, Avram Avinu and Shvatim and Moshe Rabbeinu, meaning not Moshe Rabbeinu with us the whole time, but Moshe Rabbeinu with Aaron and everything that's going on, and the Makis and Kriyas Yam Suf, and we come to the Binyan HaMishkan. And in the very beginning of Likutei Halachos, by Hashkamas HaBoker, by getting up in the morning, Rabbi Nosson speaks by Riches about the Torah of Azamra. Reish Pei Beis, I'm sure that most of you have learned, all of you have learned, I hope. Not supposed to just learn, you're supposed to live with it. And the whole Torah of waking up, there Rabbi Nosson explains, revolves around the building of the Mishkan. Because the building of the Mishkan on a deeper level means building oneself and building up Am Yisrael. And when Moshe Rabbeinu, in last week's parasha, and it continues on focusing more on the Big Day Kahuna in this parasha, but when Moshe Rabbeinu was calling upon us to bring our kesef, our zohav, our nechoshes, our silver, our gold, our copper, and to build a Mishkan. So the way it's understood, the way it's explained in Likutei Moharan, and Rabbi Nosson goes into this in much greater length in Likutei Halachos, is that the tzaddik looks for the gold, silver, and copper in each and every person. There are some people that are capable of gold, just like you have lahavdal of avdals, like by the Olympics. So there's somebody with gold, there's somebody with the silver, and there's something else? Bronze, yeah. So, I remember there were three, I didn't know the color what it was. So there are different madregas. And each person, according to what that person is able to do, you and I have, each one of us has the kudus of Zav, of Kesef and Choshes. And the tzaddik, the greatness of the tzaddik is he doesn't have one mahalach for everybody that he meets. The tzaddik tries to find in each person what's the nakuda in this person that's gold, and to go for the gold in that person's life, to try to build that person with those nakudas. Like for instance, you'll have somebody that might not be the biggest lamdan, might not be the sharpest learner, but he's kind and he's good, and he has a love for other Jews, and he wants to help other people. So you might have a certain Rosh Hashiva or a certain Rebbe that will give a patent thing. No, every single bracha has to be the next, Stipler, the next Rebbe Kiva Eger. That boy might love Torah, but his thing is not necessarily, that's not his gold. That's not my Nakuda Tova. It's a wonderful thing, and I admire that, and I love that, but my Nakuda Tova is something different. So the Rosh Hashiva needs to try to zero in on gathering together the Nakudas that are in each Jew, and with that, Rabbi Nosson speaks about, first Rabbi Nachman, but how to build a Mishkan. So waking up in the morning, that's where Rabbi Nosson speaks at the very beginning of Likutei Halachos. He speaks about waking up oneself. And the way to wake up oneself is by finding within yourself your strengths, those koiches that you have, those golden nakudas in your life, the good things that you've done, the koiches that you have now, but your friend has. That's your friend. Your koiches, your nakudas, tovas, to see what's good inside of yourself, to see what your own strengths are, and to use your own strengths to build a strong and healthy mishkan in your life. If your strength is to be a lamdan and to give shiurim or whatever it might be, or to sit and learn the rest of your life and to write svarim, well, it's great. Am Yisrael loves those Jews and needs those Jews. If your strength is to be some kind of an asken that builds up, misaskim or chaveirim or whatever else it is, it's also beautiful. And if your inyan is to be an elicha yid that's a balabas, or a woman that's a housewife and raising a family in a balabas, and all that's entailed in that, and to do it in the right and holy way, that's your goal. Then go for your goal. That's what it is. That's your job. To gather together those nakudas tovos, and to always be mindful and to remember the good things that you've done in your life, and to gather them together. So what he's saying here is that is the shorish of all his chazkas, which is really Azam, Reish Pei Beis. The shorish of his chazkas is Nikudas Tovos. Tzadik Ma'asev Kol HaAscholas. The tzaddik gathers together all beginnings. The beginning of something is always very, very exciting. Of something in Kedusha, talking about something bad, something good. So the beginning of the Zman, it's the first day of the Zman, Yeshiva. So everybody has all because they're learning that year, that whatever, they're learning Ksubas. So they got all this stuff on Ksubas, and they come to Beis Medrash with all this Svarim, and this is going to be the Zman of my life, this is going to be unbelievable Ksubas. And the first, then you get married. So the first, you're married, you just married now, and Sheva Brachas, and the whole Simcha, and the whole Chiyas of getting married. The Haschola is very, very exciting. But it's very hard to sustain. That excitement is hard to sustain. Through this man, through marriage, and through life, the tzaddik has the ability to gather up the haschalas. In other words, to try to restore within a person that memory of the beginning and how I could start again. And not to become broken by the hemshech of things, how things have sort of dragged on and I have fallen and I'm now in this dark situation or this dark place. Tzaddik, the greatness of the tzaddik is that he brings you back to a place, whether it's in your marriage or whether it's in your learning, it's Hashem, or even if it's in your business, to bring you to a place where ani achol, I can, and I yotze, and I want to start. I want to go to begin something. And how do I know that I'm capable of that? Because I once did. And I can again. But maybe you used to be able to. That's Amalek. That's Amalek. Amalek comes always the same thing. Ata ayef v'yageya. You're tired. It's hard for you. Kol nechashalom acharecha. Amalek went after the stragglers. You know it's Pasha Zachar this Shabbos, right? Amalek went after the stragglers. The ones who were like, Chazal say the ones who were spit out of the cloud from Machne Dan, because they had from Shevet Dan. Okay, but stragglers. You know, the ones that there are certain Jews that they're stragglers. They come late for the important things in life and so on. It's a straggler. So Amalek always tells a person, you're lagging behind, you're straggler, you're a straggler, you're somebody that you can't do this. You can't do this. And then he'll usually say, and don't forget, Kol Haschal is cautious. It's very hard to start. It's very, very hard to start. You can't do this. So the tzaddik is just the opposite. The tzaddik gathers together all the Nekudas Tayos, all of the Haschalas. And the tzaddik tells you, you could start. You could begin. Kol Nekudas Tayos u'beinim hem binyanim v'tzeiru from the flame. And the tzaddik is able to build, and meaning each one of us has to be a tzaddik. The tzaddik is able to build magnificent structures. A mishkan, a Beis HaMikdash. If somebody tells you to build a mikdash, but you don't have those ingredients, if you don't have those items, if somebody tells you to build a building, and you don't have bricks, and whatever else you need for building, you don't have that stuff, and then you say to the guy, how do you want me to build a building? I don't have any of this stuff. So he says, I do. And the other guy says, I do. Yeah, but I don't. Says that, why does that make a difference? The main thing is that I have those. So I would like you to build. So the answer to that is, then you build that building. I have something else I have to build. I don't know what it is right now, but I'm not building. That's your building. You want me to build this building. Like somebody comes over to, my mother, she should be healthy and well. My mother wanted me to play a musical instrument when I was a kid. Because they were offering it in like 4th grade, that you could take clarinet classes in the yeshiva, that after school. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go home. I wanted to play with the guys on the block. I didn't want to take clarinet. My mother she had this idea of me being like some sort of a cultured, like European type, you know what I mean? And I just wanted to play ball. So I was only in the music class for 2 days because I got into a fight with another guy with a clarinet. We made it into like a sword thing, and my mother paid like $50 for that or something, and I broke, and she came back into the class, the one that was teaching clarinet, and then we got caught, doing things with the clarinet, and we got thrown out. I think my mother, I hope she got over that. That was my whole musical career. I was just saying, Ma, I'm not interested in music. I don't mind listening occasionally to a song or something, and I like a nice niggin, but I'm not going to be on the Philharmonic, it's just not me. It's not me. So the tzaddik, the greatness of the tzaddik is that he's able to figure out your inyan. Like, what's your inyan? And to help you grow in your inyan. A parent needs to do that too. Every rabbi needs to do that. Every parent needs to do that. And a good friend. That's what it means. That's what it means. The Nekudas Tayos doesn't just mean the nice things about you. It means your koiches. So you want me to build a mishkan, but with his stuff. But I can't. I don't have his stuff, and I don't know how to do that. I could try to build a mishkan that will give Hashem nachas, but I need my tools. I need my tools. I can't do that with somebody. It's not me. I can't do that. So the inyan of the tzaddik is to be able to understand this person that's here right now, this moment, and how I can help this person to build a mishkan to give nachas to Hashem with the tools that he or she has, not with somebody else's, but with the tools that he or she has. That's a very hard thing to do. That's a tremendous chacham. Because the easiest thing is saying everybody has to do this is what I want. This is the mishkan you have to build. Everybody has to do this. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Then when I was in high school, so I lived in 9th grade, I was in Eretz Yisrael. And then in the yeshiva, they had this hour a week, a chug, like an extra that for woodwork. So I paid an Israeli to do my thing. Now, where did I get the money? I had somebody from Abba Mitzvah. I had a couple of dollars. And he didn't take much. It was I got it very, very cheap. So we're supposed to make this, we're supposed to carve this thing. It was a whole woodwork thing, like this project. And I saw that, this was not going. I tried a little bit, like the first half hour, and it wasn't going. So there was a boy in my class, Uri, I remember, and I gave him like $1, and he did the whole thing. So when it was finished, I brought it home, and my mother said, "Wow, my Gavaldik, whatever." And my father said to me, I went on the side, he said, "You didn't do this." Who did this? I said, "I gave Uri a couple of dollars for that." Yeah. It's not my thing. What am I going to do? I tried a little bit. Maybe someone would say, "You should have tried harder. You should have tried harder. Lo yitzlach." Could be. I don't know. I still don't think that's my malacha to do that. But growing up, it's hard, especially when other people are telling you. Usually when someone's teaching you something, they think, like when you had a math teacher, your math teacher thought like the most important thing in the world is math. But most of us, with the exception like 2 kids, most of us thought that, no, I don't really care about math. I just have to pass, and I don't really see myself being a mathematician or anything, or an actuary, whatever. I don't know what they use this stuff for. Or like we had to do when it was trigonometry. You ever see a logarithm in your life? I don't know what it is. So, but that teacher felt like, if you don't know logarithms, I still don't know what that was, a logarithm. I mean, I did very well. I got on the regions. I did very, very well. But I still don't know what that was. But the teacher is telling you that, says that this is like the whole hatzlacha you can have in life. And if you're not doing this, you're not going to be mitzliach. The tzaddik doesn't go like that. The tzaddik knows that for one kid, the logarithms are important. And for the other kid, it's not. For one kid, maybe to go to the army would be a good thing. For this other kid, he should stay in yeshiva. Everybody's different. So, that's the meaning of the tzaddik. So, all this chaskas comes from this way of building a mishkan. Because that's all Amalek wants, is that you should look back at your past failures. In other words, to see that I tried that. In other words, I was working at that, but I didn't. I was unsuccessful. I tried that; it didn't work. Talking about in Avodas Hashem, I tried that; it didn't work. Lo l'stakel ha'over. Umolei simcha tamid. Ach b'chol zo sorg adayin eitza hamedes b'chol mivchan. Echles garba lachashkus v'akatnis. But we need eitzes from the true tzaddikim of how to overcome that voice of Amalek that tells you, you can't. You're lo yitzlach. We need eitzes from the tzaddikim of how to overcome that discouraging sound of Amalek. Echles gabra lachashkus v'katnis. How to overcome darkness and smallness. Shiyuchal al yoda tamid lachs l'madregoso. Because the tzaddik says, if you once experienced a certain thing, you once felt a closeness to Hashem, you once felt a love for Torah, even for a short time, and that was haschal, that was the beginning. That means that you could have that again. Amalek says it was a dimyan, it's narishkeit. You can't do that. Now, I'm not talking here about playing an instrument or making some project for arts and crafts. We're talking about your whole existence in this world. And a person a person needs eitzes, not to be discouraged, not to become depressed, and to be able to start again. And in this tiny little simon in Meshivas Nefesh, Rebbe Nachman is giving us an eitzah. Rebbe Nachman is giving us advice, which is the Yesod Gadol B'derech Chaim. It's a tremendous foundation, and it's a way to live. Instead of listening to Amalek, that first zvicha, that first success that you had is gone and it's finished, and it's worthless because you see that you can't do that, and you weren't able to sustain anything. Rabbi Nachman's Eitz is davka to be miskashet to the Zvicha Rishon, to bind yourself to that success. Lisker is ha'or shahaylo ba'avar, to remember the or that you felt that Shabbos, that davening, that learning, whatever it was, to go back and to go into that once was. Shahaylo ba'avar l'alechas achara, and to follow it into the future, to take it with you into the future, not to believe that it's gone, it's done, you see, you failed, you can't do it, not to do that. Right now, that earlier or is not shining. The Eitz is to tap into that earlier or, to take hold of it, talk more about that, not just in this Torah, but the coming Torahs, to take hold of that and to be able to build something new with your kelim, not with somebody else's tools or materials, with your kesef, your zahav, your nechoshes, to build something. Because when a person is going through a nefila, a difficult time, or did some kind of aveira or something happened, but the person is going through a nefila, so then misgabrim hasvekis, that's Amalek. Amalek, right? Everybody knows Amalek is the gematria suffix. So you begin to have tremendous doubts. Amalek means doubting. You begin to have doubts in your emunah. You begin to have all kinds of questions about not just believing in Hashem, but believing in your connection to Hashem, believing in yourself. Well, you're filled with sveikas. But you don't believe that Hakadosh Baruch Hu, you have sveikas about whether Hakadosh Baruch Hu actually believes in you and is proud of you. You begin to have sveikas. How could Hashem be proud of somebody like me? I messed up. I failed. So why would Hashem be proud of somebody like me? So you begin to have sveikas. The kasher amuna eina behira. And when one's emuna, one's belief in Hashem and belief in Hashem's love, when that becomes unclear, when it becomes cloudy, ein gam hisayrus l'avodas Hashem yisbarach. You can't bring yourself to daven, to learn. You lose your. It's very hard. As we spoke about, mikoytze ruach, it becomes avodah kasha. The ruchnis is not there, and the avodah becomes difficult. You just don't feel you could do it. It's very hard to get back. During that time, you have to be careful, of course, to hold on to your emunah in any way that you can. And the way the eitzah that the tzaddik is giving is to try to return in your mind and in your heart, to try to return to that original clarity that you had, to go back to that behirus. Same thing with a marriage. To go back to that behirus. To go back to that which was. Again, we're not talking about looking at pictures and nostalgia. Stop. Nostalgia pictures. That's not with a. That's not with to regain one's behirus. That's just to mourn over what once was. Stop nostalgia. That's just a mullah's giving. It used to be the way we were. There was a song like that.
A movie.
I didn't see the movie. I remember there was a song, but the way we were once was. But that's in a way of. It once was Maida Hava Hava. That's the expression in Chazal. What was. Maida Hava Hava. That's not what Rabbi Nachman is talking about. That the way we were. That's not the way to build oneself, to build a marriage, to build a mishkan, to build a Beis HaMikdash. To go back, but not to mourn what was, but to take from the or that was, to use that or. Because there was a time when you can remember that you were zeicha to feel the clarity and that truth. And at that time, you did feel a strong yisarus. Right now, you're not. But at that time, there was a strong yisarus. Kach yuchal akachas mozen v'chiyas mimei hasayva v'yimais harav v'lahasik maimed. The same way that Yosef HaTzadik devised a plan to take from the good years, right? To save up, to have and to bring from the 7 good years, and to be able to take from the 7 good years and to be able to have what to eat by the lean years, by the difficult years. That's exactly what we're talking about. That a Jew has not had to reach back to the good year, to the good day, to the good moment, and to take and to eat from that, and to give yourself chiyas, life, during the famine that you're in right now. Right now there's a famine. So how are you supposed to survive in the famine? Ein malechol, there's nothing to eat. Yosef HaTzadik built warehouses, and every Jew has to have in himself a warehouse in which you have those memories, and there was that hisayrus, and to be able to go back to that, obviously with proper hadracha and how to do it. And I'm not going to that right now. Lakachas mozen v'chiyas mimei hasova, to take chiyas, life, food for the neshama, for whatever, to take the mois harav for the time of famine. But what does Amalek say? Amalek says it comes like this. Amalek says, the fat cows swallowed up the skinny cows. The skinny cows swallowed up the fat cows, right? The opposite. In other words, there's nothing. There's nothing. Whatever was good has been swallowed up, and now it's nothing. It's skinny, empty. Nothing. That's what Amalek says. That there was something in the past that was good, that was healthy, that was strong. It's been swallowed up. It's been devoured by the difficulties of your life, by the bad mazel you have. Whatever was good in your life has already been swallowed up. It's been taken away. It's gone. That's what Amalek says. You know that you're capable of this because you saw that, and you know that it's true because you yourself had a taste of that. And the thing about emes, what's wonderful about the truth, the real truth, what's wonderful about the truth is that it's Dvarcha Malkeinu, some say the word Malkeinu also, Dvarcha Malkeinu, emes v'kayim la'ad. Emes is kayim la'ad. Emes is, the truth is something which is always true. Sheker ain't l'raglayim. Sheker today is like this. The politician says on Monday, then the politician talks on Tuesday, and he says on Wednesday. But he said on Monday you misunderstood, and Tuesday I misspoke, and Wednesday I'm no longer that from that party. You know, it's a world of sheker. But emes is emes the kaim lad. Emes is mitzias which is kayemis lad. Now that doesn't mean that you might necessarily just put in life just because, let's say, when you were 16, you were able to accomplish certain things in your learning because of your memory that was stronger when you were a kid, and that you could do that right now. That doesn't mean the same thing, but it means the hisayrus for Torah, the love of Torah, a connection to Torah. You might not be able to learn as much as you used to. It might be that your head's not so strong like it used to be, or because whatever, you have so many things, responsibilities, and you can't concentrate as much. That's okay. But the sheker is that you don't care about Torah. Because if you really cared about Torah, you'd be learning like you used to. That's sheker. You have to take from the or, the hisayrus, the emes. The emes is that learning Torah till the last breath of our lives is the most valuable thing, the most wonderful thing. To the end. There's nothing that's more wonderful than learning Torah. How much you can learn right now? Say that you discuss that with the Rebbe, with the Rosh Hashiva, think it over, whatever it is. But not to say Torah is not for me. I thought that it was, but it's not. Just as Hashem is true, the Torah is true, and emes is a mitzias kaim lad. the fact that you're going through right now a difficulty, skinny cows, fat cows, famine, food, those are changes that take place that most often they're beyond our control. Sometimes you get a little bit, but you think it's but mostly it's not under our control. But how you think about it and how you look at it, that's your bechir. So even though you might not feel the excitement of learning, or the excitement of davening, or the excitement of being a Jew this minute, but the emes is a metzius which is kaim not, and you know that there was that truth. It's there. It's not being felt right now, but it's there. So here's where we have, when we saw in Likutei Moharan, he doesn't bring it here in the Meshivas Nefesh, but he brings from the Torah itself there, on page Samach Tes. Rabbeinu Zal Mamshil Zayis Likutei Moharan, which we saw, L'kvutzas Ivrem HaHolchim Achar Bikeach U'Ma'aminim Boi. There's a group of people who are blind, and they're following a person. They're holding on to a person who sees, and the person who's seeing is guiding them. And the blind people are holding on to this person. They believe in this person. They know from the past, and they trust him that this is a person that is telling them the truth, and is taking them to the place they need to go to. So the blind people are trusting the pikeach, the one who can see, that he's taking us to where we're supposed to go. Now sometimes when a person's in a really bad place, they become blind. Blindness here means that they cannot see anything good about themselves. They cannot see. And so you say, what do you mean? Take hold of that aura that you had in your davening and your learning. Earlier times he says, I never had that. I don't know what you're talking about. And then he might say something like, I thought I did, but I was just fooling myself. Or my Rebbe thought I did. I was trying to fool him. But I never really had that. So the person doesn't remember. Because darkness causes forgetfulness. That's just how it is. You don't see it and you forget it. That's what happens. So here's where we need the tzaddik. We need the tzaddik because the tzaddik is able to see through that darkness. And there's so many beautiful stories like that from tzaddikim. There's the very, very beautiful stories about how the tzaddik sees past all of the darkness, all the shikha, all the forgetting. And that's how, it's an amazing thing. The tzaddik remembers something about me that I don't remember about myself. But that's the greatness of the tzaddik. That's how he gathers together the gold and the silver. And this doesn't have to be only like the Baba Sali or something. But the meaning of the tzaddik is it doesn't have to be a tzaddik. It could be a good friend or a rebbe, a teacher, a husband, a wife, someone who loves you and someone who knows who you really are, and is trying to speak with you diburim of chizuk. But a lot of times you don't pay attention to the chizuk. You can't listen to the chizuk. You think, you're just trying to tell me you're trying to puff me up or something. I know that I'm not. But your friend sees that you are capable. Your mother, your father see that you are capable. They see that you're capable of it. They know. And they remember you. But you're not in such a good place. So here's where you have to be like the blind person holds on to the one who can see. And let the tzaddik lead you back into a place that's good. That's the marshal. It doesn't have to be a tzaddik. It could be a chaverim, yirei shamayim, or a good friend. A good friend that's a yirei shamayim, of course. And a friend that's not a yirei shamayim is going to... Don't follow them. They take you off the edge of the cliff. You have to be very careful. They take you to bad places. But a good friend who's Yirei Shamayim, a God-fearing good friend, you hold on, and he'll walk you back to that place and to trust him. She'iru bo yediyas ha'emes, who could remind you of the truth, of who you are. And even if that tzaddik, Even if it's a tzaddik that doesn't know you, the tzaddikim have siyata d'shmai to be able to see that. And if you find that there's a tzaddik that's talking to you about somebody else's truth that doesn't speak to you at all, it means that his eyes were not opened, even though he's a fine tzaddik. His eyes were not open to see that. That's okay. Just beseder. Shehi'iru b'yidiyas ha'emes. So that's the mashal that Rabbi Nachman gives of holding on to the tzaddik when you're going through a time where you're blind and you can't see, you can't remember who you really are in your kudus tovus. Then hold on. Hold on. Again, a parent, a friend, tzaddik, hold on. And go. And let the person lead you back to that zvicha rishon, to that earlier or. To that or. Then there was another mashal that we saw. Also using a blind person. So this blind person doesn't have a person that he's holding on to. He's holding on to a stick, as blind people do. They have a stick to hold on to the makel. Now, what's the difference between the mashal of the person who could see, leading you, and the mashal of the blind person that has a stick? What's the difference? I mean, we understand there's a difference. So he says, this mashal gives us tremendous strength, lama b'nisyanis, to be able to manage through different tests in life, nisyanis, challenges. When a person is going through a nisayin, the biggest part of the nisayin is that you lose your das, you lose your mind. Meaning, you forget. You don't remember how good you are. You don't remember how you can overcome this. That's the ikrin of the nisayin. Is vayarus Hashem, vayarus hamakom meirachok. That you feel far away. You don't have das. You lose, or not all, but you lose a certain amount of your das, of your awareness, of your understanding, of knowing the truth. You lose that. That's the nisayin. Are you going to be able to persevere and push your way back to that truth and forward in a good way? Or are you going to give in to this nisayin, to this voice of Amalek? Then you have to be like a blind person that's following his stick, that's walking after his stick. The Sfarim say that a stick, is the Rashtavis, me'olam kivinu lach. I always trust in Hashem. I always have and I always will. Makel is me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach is makel. So he says, what does it mean, ha'halach archa makla? Shamakel roimes lekoiches garbush lo lolechas archa mashichas yetzar. Makel means something else. Here it's not that the tzaddik is pulling you, someone that loves you is pulling you and helping you. Here you might not have that. Or it might be the moment that you have this Yetzirah and you don't know how to get out of it. So what's a makel for? So we might not be able to relate to this type of discipline anymore. Actually, Rabbi Nachman speaks about this in the first Torah in Likutei Moharan. That when somebody is crazy, you hit him with a stone. Give him a smack over the head. Now, that's not protocol these days. Someone's crazy, hit him over the head. You have to hit him over the head, but not with a stick. You hit him over the head with something else. But what's the need of a makel? A makel, a stick, means to be in control. Achashverosh held on to a scepter. The symbol of a king. A shepherd who's leading, right? The shepherd in all the old pictures or movies, or if you drive around in Eretz Yisrael, you'll see some shepherds walking around with the staff, with the stick.
Oh, it's like the one in the Ten Commandments. He's holding the stick.
Oh, Moses holding a stick? Moshe Rabbeinu had a makel. The mata, he had the mata. What is the word mata? It's called mata. The stick of Moshe was called a mata. Mata is from the word lahatos. It also means to be in control. Lahatos means to bring things to this way or to that way. That means a netiyah. Lahatos. So it's an Indian of being in control and leading. So this person, let's say, is being led by his Yetzirah. The Yetzirah is telling him, like Amali is telling you, you're nobody, you're worthless, you never were good. You thought you were once good, that's not true, you're not really good. Varaya, you did this aver, you did that aver. And now the Yetzirah is telling you, now do this, do the next aver. You're a Baal Averis. The Indian of the Mako is to take control of your life and to give a klap. Shamakal roimes lekoiches garbu shalolo lechas achem mashichas yetzar. Shalolo lechas achem mashichas yetzar. Not to follow. That's sheker. Mitoch zikaron sheba'over, and to try, because that moment of the yetzar is very strong. So, and you don't have the tzaddik right now helping you. So that moment is a moment of that moment of the nisayon requires picking up the stick, the staff of Moshe Benu, of David HaMelech, whatever, to pick up that stick, that staff, to feel yourself. May olam kivinu lach. I was once good. I didn't do this when I was better, and I could do better. May olam kivinu lach. I always had hope in you, and you were always there for me, and I'm asking you to be there for me now as well. Shivtecha mishantecha hema yinachemuni. A shevet means a stick, means a staff. Shivtecha mishantecha hema yinachemuni. Mitoch zikaron shebaver, to get hold of yourself and to remember. Go l'shtus yetzahara. Remember, last time you gave into this disgusting yetzahara, you remember how you felt? You felt disgusting in love. That's how you felt. You felt horrible about it. Remember that. Remember that. Remember what was when you still had your head, when you're still able to think. Right now, you're losing your mind. Remember that. It's to shake the dust, to give a clap, like with a stick. To remember that this is not something that's building your mishkan. It's tearing it down. It's not something that's going to build up your life. It's something that's going to destroy your life. So you might have that friend, that the one who's got, a T-shirt with Amalek on it, and that friend is telling you, "Come, we're going to do this. Come, we're going to have that. We're going to come with us. Come to that." And you need to mock him, not to hit the person, to hit yourself. This never, ever, ever made me feel better about who I am, what I want to do with my life, ever. What did it give me? It gave me a disgusting moment of taiva and an onig. It wasn't an onig pnimi or an amiti. And it only afterwards took me away from everything that's important in my life. Because I didn't feel like davening after that. I didn't feel like learning after that. I didn't feel like talking to my parents after that. I didn't feel like talking to my kids after that. I felt like worthless after that. So what did you get? But your friends are saying, come. You need a makom to get out of that. Because the current Shabbat haven gold the shtus yetzahara. Shtus of the yetzahara, the lie, the sheker, the emptiness, the foolishness, and how that was once clear to you, and you were able to overcome the yetzahara many times, and you understood that it's a shtus. You understood that it's an Irish guy. Afshekei kasuma. Right now, you don't have das. Right now, you're blind. Liboy nimshach achar yetzahara. And because of that, your heart is being pulled after the yetzahara. Follow the stick. And be misgaber, even though right now you can't understand why should I be misgaber. Like you don't have das. But use the stick, that's your strength. To be strong. To fight off that ugliness, because it never ever worked for you. And to remember that this is not who you are. Even though right now you don't have a cheshik to daven, you don't have a cheshik to learn, whatever it is. To fight, to have the strength to be able to take that makam. And Chazal tells that, we spoke about this many times, there's a Torah from the Ishbitz, very deep Torah we spoke about years ago. That Chazal tells that Shlomo Melech, there was an imposter that kicked Shlomo Melech out. It's all Gittin and Taisus did the whole thing. what happened to Shlomo HaMelech, that Ashmedai, there was the evil one, kicked Shlomo HaMelech off, and he was an imposter, and Shlomo HaMelech was wandering around, and he says, Ani Koheles, I used to be, he would say, Ani Hayisi Melech, because I used to be king over Yerushalayim, not only over Yerushalayim, because I'll say, Shlomo HaMelech was king over the whole world, and the higher worlds also, except for Hashem. Shlomo HaMelech was the man. Hayisi Melech. And then he said, Zeh Chelki Mikol Amali. Now all that I have left is what? So there are different opinions, what he had left. Yeshayim Maklai. All he had left was his stick. That he had left. In other words, everything else was taken from him. Not the palace, not the gold, the silver, the copper, the bronze, whatever. Not the whole malchus. Everything is gone. The one thing he had left was the shtekel, had his stick. So this which says, Gevaldik. That means he was still a king. Because the biggest malchus, this which says, is when you rule over yourself. The kings of the world are not rulers, because they're the biggest Bali Taiva. You listen to the President of the United States talk for 2 minutes, you say, it's crazy. The rulers of the world are not ruling over anything, except people who are afraid of them. But to have a stick when you have nothing else in life but to be in control of yourself, that's what it means. That all Shlomo HaMelech had was his makel. And the makel, the Ishbit says, is a symbol of control, of strength. So even though the malchus was taken from him, he was a melech amiti. That's what the Ishbit is saying. He's a true king. Because a true king is not someone that follows his taivas and his yetzaharas. A true king is a person who's in control. And it means to be in control of the biggest enemy of all. Not the ones outside, but the ones inside. The one inside, which is a molech. So when Chazal say he ruled over his makel, this is what I have left from all that I worked for. It wasn't that I'm a loser. It was, this is what I've gained from my wandering and my suffering. I've gained this understanding that true malchus doesn't depend upon palaces and harems. The true malchus depends upon being a person that's in control. That's what it means to be able to be misgaber. That's what it means to be a melech. So in the end, zeh chelki mikol hamolech. This is what I have from all my hard work. It wasn't a crime. Saying zeh chelki mikol hamolech. I don't need to have a palace in order to be a melech. I don't need to put down other people to be a melech. I don't need to abuse my wife to be a melech. I don't need to abuse my kid to be a melech. Malchus is a midah, pnimis. The Jewish people are mamlechas kahanim, and mamlechas kahanim. Like Pachas V'liyaseh, Rashi says. Mamlechas, a Jew is a ben melech, a bas melech. That malchus doesn't depend upon whether you're rich or you have something you have not. The rich people of the world are the ones that have the smallest kingdoms. The poor people are the ones with the biggest kingdoms. That's what the Baruch says. Mashiach comes from such people. The richest people are the ones that usually have the smallest malchus. Mashiach is going to be Avim the tzaddikim, that they have money and they know how to use it to give to other people and to help other people. The poor people are humble. That's the biggest malchus, is the malchus over yourself. Not see if your wife's going to listen to you. Go home and see if your wife listens to you. Big melech that you are. You're going to get home, you're a nobody. Your wife is going to tell you, put your own stuff in the microwave. Make supper yourself. Alexander the Great. That's not greatness. That you're a conqueror, you kill people, you took over different countries. See what you could do when the lights are out and there's nobody there and it's just you and the internet. See what kind of a melech you are at that moment. That's something else. That's malchus. Zeh chelki mikol hamolech. You're still holding on to the stick. You still have the makom me'olam kirvinu lach. Dvarchem aken emes v'kayim la'ad. Emes goes with you wherever you are. It's kayim la'ad. That's called malchus.